The night she realized there was nowhere left to go did not arrive with thunder or sirens, but with a quiet so heavy it pressed against her chest and made breathing feel like a chore. The city lights blurred through rain, streaked vision as she stood beneath a flickering street lamp, holding everything she still owned in one tired bag, feeling smaller than she had ever felt in her life. It was the kind of moment where the world seems to turn its back all at once, where hope feels like a rumor meant for other people. She had reached the end of plans, the end of favors, the end of excuses. She told herself to keep standing. And yet, somewhere in that emptiness, something unseen was about to change. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of human connection, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who might need it, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them most. Her name was Mara, and she had once believed life would follow a simple map. Childhood dreams had promised stability, love, and purpose, but reality rewrote those promises one disappointment at a time. A job lost after years of loyalty, a relationship that dissolved when things became inconvenient, and a family that loved her but did not know how to help her anymore. Each loss by itself was survivable, but together they stacked like weight on her back until she could no longer stand upright. Pride kept her from asking for help too many times, and fear kept her from believing help would come, even if she asked. By the time she found herself on that sidewalk, the word home felt foreign, like a language she had once spoken fluently and somehow forgotten. She spent days drifting through public spaces where no one asked questions. Libraries, buses, late-night diners where she nursed cheap coffee, just to justify sitting somewhere warm. She learned the art of being invisible, of shrinking herself so she would not be a burden or a reminder of how fragile life could become. The world around her moved quickly, full of people with places to go and reasons to hurry, while she existed in the cracks between their lives. Each night, she told herself that tomorrow she would figure something out, even as her faith in that promise grew thinner. It was during one of those nights, when exhaustion blurred into resignation, that she met Elias. He was not remarkable at first glance, not the kind of person who announced his presence or commanded attention. He worked late shifts at a small community center that stayed open longer than most places, offering warmth, quiet, and a sense of safety without asking for explanations. He noticed her not because she looked desperate, but because she looked tired in a way that went deeper than sleep. There was a gentleness in the way he acknowledged her existence, a respect that did not pry or judge. For someone who had grown used to being overlooked, that alone felt startling. Days turned into weeks, and without planning to, Mara began structuring her time around the hours the center was open. The routine gave her something she had lost: predictability. Elias never asked her to explain herself, never pushed for details, but he listened when she spoke in fragments about how life had unraveled. He listened with the kind of attention that made her words feel important, even when they were clumsy or incomplete. In his presence, she did not feel like a problem to be solved, but a person allowed to exist exactly as she was. Still, the weight of her situation did not disappear. Cold nights grew colder, and the reality of having nowhere permanent to rest became harder to ignore. Mara struggled with shame, with the fear that accepting help would confirm her worst beliefs about herself. She wrestled with the idea that maybe she deserved this outcome, that maybe her failures were proof of something broken inside her. Those thoughts came most fiercely in the quiet hours, when the city slept and loneliness spoke the loudest. Elias, in his own quiet way, became a steady presence. He shared stories of his own missteps, of paths he had taken and lost before finding meaning in helping others. He never framed himself as a savior, never suggested he had all the answers. Instead, he offered consistency, and sometimes consistency is the most radical form of kindness. Slowly, Mara began to feel something unfamiliar stirring beneath her exhaustion. It was not happiness, not yet, but a sense that maybe her story was not finished. The turning point did not come in a dramatic rescue or a sudden stroke of luck. It came on an ordinary evening when the center was closing, and the reality of the night ahead pressed heavily on her. Elias noticed the way her shoulders sagged, the way hope seemed to flicker uncertainly in her eyes. Without speeches or promises, he offered her a place to stay temporarily, framed not as charity but as an extension of trust. In that moment, Mara felt something crack open inside her, a mixture of relief and fear and gratitude so intense it left her shaking. Accepting meant vulnerability. It meant admitting she could not do this alone. The days that followed were awkward and uncertain, filled with small adjustments and unspoken boundaries. Mara worried constantly about overstaying her welcome, about becoming dependent, about losing what little dignity she felt she had left. Yet Elias treated her presence as normal, as expected, never making her feel like an inconvenience. He believed in structure and responsibility, encouraging her gently to rebuild without pressure or ultimatums. With stability came the space to breathe, and with breathing came clarity. Mara began applying for work again, facing rejection after rejection, but no longer alone in it. She volunteered at the center, rediscovering a sense of usefulness that reignited parts of her she thought were gone forever. She learned that healing was not a straight line but a series of steps forward and back, each one still movement. The connection she shared with Elias deepened into something rooted in mutual respect and understanding, not romance born of desperation, but a bond forged through shared humanity. What surprised Mara most was not that her circumstances improved, but that her perception of herself did. She started to see that losing everything had not erased her worth. It had stripped away illusions, yes, but it had also revealed resilience she never knew she possessed. She began to imagine a future again, not a perfect one, but a real one, built slowly and honestly. As time passed, Mara eventually moved into a small place of her own. It was modest, imperfect, but it was hers. The first night she slept there, she cried, overwhelmed by the journey that had brought her to that quiet room. She thought about the night under the street lamp, about how close she had come to giving up on herself entirely. She understood then that sometimes the phrase "nowhere left" is not an ending, but a doorway, one that forces you to see who will stand beside you when everything else falls away. Before this story reaches its final moments, I want to ask you something. Please leave a comment sharing what this story made you feel, or a moment in your life when kindness changed your path. Your words matter more than you know. Mara never forgot where she came from, and she never forgot the hands that steadied her when she was falling. She carried that awareness into every interaction, choosing compassion even when it was inconvenient, choosing to see people rather than situations. The world had not become easier, but it had become richer, layered with meaning she once believed was lost to her forever. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that even at the lowest point there can be connection, hope, and quiet miracles, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who might need encouragement, and subscribe to the channel. Your engagement helps keep stories like this alive, reaching those who are standing in their own version of the dark, wondering if anyone sees them. Because sometimes when there is nowhere left to go, what saves us is not a place at all, but a person who reminds us that we do not have to face the world alone. And in that shared space, fragile and imperfect, we find that us can be enough.